today I have a very, very important discussion that I need to do with all you guys. Recently, in past 2 weeks, there has been a phenomenal uh, adventure that took place with Meta, right? So before I start with this, I want to discuss today how that particular incident can impact and has a profound impact on your practice or law firm. And it has got a lot of people thinking. So let me start with the context here, right? So what happened was Meta, is firing people in thousands of number, right? And they're replacing their whole teams with AI. Now, obviously, the first thing that got hit was their support system, right? So if you go on Meta and you try to chat with a support agent, you would always find that there's an AI behind it, not a real human. Now the funny thing is that these hackers sort of targeted thousands of different accounts, but the most prominent ones surfaced, right, in the news, and that's when this whole debate started. So the the hack was very simple. In fact, you can't call it a hack, but just a way to trick AI. So what happened was that they would go on an account which they wanted to hack, and then put their username, and then ask for a password reset. The moment the request was sent, obviously, how Meta functions is that it kind of sends a code on the email or WhatsApp, and then that code should be copied and then put in that particular text box, and then request a new password or a change in password, right? So obviously they did not have access to the original email. So what they did was they opened the chat function and they started prompt injecting the AI. So they kind of social engineered it in thinking that the responses they are writing are basically written by the same AI which is chatting with them. Now, they would give their own email, the hacker's email, and then would ask AI to, to send the password on this particular email. And you know what happens? AI would think that that's the real email and this is the real person. It's something I have written, so it would quickly send the password reset link and the code to that email. Now this was this simple, right? And when it did, these people took out that code, put it in, reset the password, and hacked prominent accounts like Obama's White House account. There was Space Force high-ranking officials account, and there are numerous accounts. Sephora, big brands, every big name was kind of hacked there, right? Now this kind of prompted me in thinking that this is extremely dangerous. Like Meta is a big company, right? They have their own proprietary AI system. They have full autonomy, and they can do whatever with their AI. They can train it with the data they want to train it. But an AI support agent sending credentials by people just prompting it, and people actually made videos of it, right? And the funny thing is, and this needs to be put out there because a lot of people might be thinking, oh, these accounts might not have two-factor authorization, and that might be the main issue why these accounts were hacked. But in reality, some of those accounts, in fact, most of these accounts did have two-factor authorization enabled. So what happens is that they simply took the picture out because there was selfie one and there was a picture one. So they would take out the picture, go on Nano Banana, that's Gemini's image generator, and would create a selfie-like image, and then they would show it to the system, and the system would grant them access. And this is the biggest problem, right? So if we talk in context with, say, law firms, there's a big push for law firms to adopt AI, specifically firms which can afford the costs of it because it's getting expensive, but then also the firms which have many, many partners working with them, right? Now, most of the big firms, they have a big PR company behind them, which produces their podcasts, live events, they go on TV shows. So there's a lot of public exposure, right? Now, suppose in that sense, there's an AI agent, AI voice agent that can uh, that takes your call or intake, which is fully integrated with the other system like documentation automation. There's a system which knows the financial dealings with your clients. They know what type of case they have, everything else, right? So they could simply clone that voice using another AI software and then manipulating the AI's context to believe that basically the person on the call is the real partner working within that firm or the person who's working on the case. And that's when the AI can be easily tricked into thinking this. And now the hackers could use this to ask for any sort of sensitive details. It could be uh, unauthorized account access, it could be sensitive case details, it could be financial details, it could be the documents you've been preparing for them, the evidence. Now, when this happens, obviously, this is going to pose a real risk in first in client lawyer relationship as well as the case itself, because the opposing party can use it as something which can truly damage your reputation and also the case, right? So, why this happens is because generally AI lacks kind of contextual judgment, and that is because the way we train AI is to help clients. This is the client facing one, right, that I'm talking about. But if you have integrated within other workflows, so obviously it's going to have access to your core database as well. Now, they would assist clients, and now if somebody knows, and which happens, obviously you represent a client, you already, people know that this is the person representing XYZ client, they can pose as clients and trick AI into giving them the sensitive information they have given you in the start when there was an intake process going, or afterwards when there were emails, because you have integrated everything with it. And as they inject more prompts, AI will send them all this information without your knowledge. And that's what the real danger lies here, right? So every day when you have concentrated the system, right? Because we have been trying to systemize everything, concentrate into certain steps. So this makes it really, really easy because there are no different dynamics. In fact, it's just a linear flow and it's an instruction based system. Say, do this before, if they ask this, do this. If they ask that, do that, right? So it's really easy for a hacker to understand that system and just prompt it with certain instructions within those MD files that you've been keeping as the source of truth or the guardrails. And that's where the problem really, gets worse, because now these hackers can enter through the back door and the firm's entire document management system can be accessed through that. When you see humans, right? I'm not saying humans cannot make these mistakes, right? Humans can make these mistakes, but when humans do, they're contextually aware. They can ask certain questions and they can basically they have this feeling that whether I'm talking to the right person, they can ask relevant question related to the worldview, and that's when they know if this is an hacker or is this a client, a real client talking to you. So this is one thing that's very, very important to understand, right? Now, in this age, the liability rests on you, because the company that is employed, whether it's in-house AI system or whether it's a company that has given you through cloud services or anything, the real responsibility lies on you, because the model, they say, is being trained on your data. And if you do not have a human in the loop checking out whether they are dealing with, they're basically optimizing everything again and again with the AI, anything, God forbids, go wrong, you are going to be held accountable for that because you are using that system. Nobody asked you to. But if you're using, obviously, you need to have a really, really good cybersecurity team which cannot let AI transfer funds, alter client records, release sensitive privileged information without human authorization. And that's the most important point. But then the question is, if AI voice agents can be tricked into giving passwords, client information, even if multi-factor authorization is enabled, if it can be prompt injected, even if the humans are there to protect that from happening, but obviously AI can do it in seconds, the risk will always be there. So the debate isn't about which system is better. The debate is which system, whether it's complete human, hybrid system, or complete AI, has the least amount of risk for your firm, right? Now, the question that basically is in my mind, and I want to ask you as well, is whether using these systems can help us in the long term, right? Because you're paying a lot of money to these systems, which are prone and they're high risk when it comes to hackers and information stealers, right? So you're paying for a system which promised that it would it is fully autonomous and it can help you improve the efficiency, productivity, it can be made secure, but now that's not happening. So you got to hire a more expensive team in terms of a cybersecurity team to handle AI, update the guardrails every now and then because the hackers would always be a step ahead. Does it really make sense as in terms of the cost that you have to bear? And I'm specifically talking about this, the financial cost. And does it make sense to have only humans dealing with client information? So this question is still unanswered, and time will tell because this technology, it's been 5 years that has been released to public, but it was there before, and all these risks were there, and there is no way to protect prompt injection. Like I said, in Meta's case, that has happened, and it has happened on a massive scale, and it has put Meta into a big embarrassment as well. But that company does not really care at this point because they have a lot of money. But for your firm, I think the reputation of a law firm matters most than anything else. So think about it. That's food for thought. If you want to comment with your thoughts, what you should be doing, I would love to hear about it. And whether you have an alternate idea or if you disagree with this, that would be good because then I can also learn about it more. So share if you like what I've said today and put your questions down, and I hopefully will answer each one of them. Thank you for joining in today. Have a nice day.